Today I'm talking with Chris Remmes, managing broker of Remmes and Company over in Boston, Massachusetts, about his real estate career and his experience with his tech stack and CRM. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat today, Chris.
Great. Yeah, no, Elena, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so to start from the very beginning, how did you decide to get into real estate?
Well, it wasn't kind of an easy transition. I've been selling real estate for 20 years, and I was kind of, 20 years ago, I wasn't happy in my job, looking for something to do. And I had a friend who was in real estate. She said, you'd be great. You should come work for me. And I did, and I worked for her for 2 or 3 years, kind of got things going at a small independent brokerage in a neighborhood of Boston. And then kind of left her and kind of started my own and went with a franchise, and the rest is history.
What made you decide to leave working for her and starting on your own independently?
Well, I think, about real estate, it's kind of like building your own business, building your own brand and expanding things. And I was kind of in a small independent office that was kind of like very tied to the neighborhood. And I wanted to kind of grow my business outside of that neighborhood.
Okay. And so whenever you decided to transition away from her and start independently, did you start solo or did you have a team from the get-go and you started
So I
hired?
was, back, this would have been 17 years ago now. There weren't really like a lot of teams kind of back then. Teams weren't really a thing. But I was independent. I kind of went by myself and kind of just jumped off the cliff and kind of, yeah, did it by myself.
Okay. And I'm sorry if I didn't catch it. What year was this where you first went into real estate
So
and then when you
I
transitioned?
guess I started in probably 2003.
Okay. So who was your first hire once you decided to hire help?
Oh, well, you know, I hired somebody probably about 2010, a recent college graduate. It didn't really kind of go too well, or maybe it was, yeah, it didn't really kind of go too well. Hiring people's really hard, that's for sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
I've
So
had a
then,
number of people throughout the years. Yep.
yeah. Yeah. So from then to now you own your own boutique brokerage. How is your current business structured? How many agents do you have in your brokerage, full-time staff?
Yep. So it's me. I have two other agents, and then I have like a full-time administrative person. When I left the brokerage that I was with, when I decided to leave, I decided I needed some help. So I took one of their people. I took one of their people with me. So yeah, and he's been great. It's been going great.
Good, good. So where would you say the majority of your business comes from?
For me, it's all past clients and Sphere. I'm trying to get going with some kind of online leads and do different things. But for me, it's head and shoulders. It's all past clients and Sphere of influence.
Would you say it's the same for the agents in your brokerage, mostly past clients and Sphere?
I think we're trying to like experiment with some things. So there's a little bit of a mix with them. We've been trying to do some like Google local service ads and online lead generation and things like that. So yeah, for them, it's probably a little more of a mix.
Okay. So transitioning over to tech, since you mentioned you're trying to do a mixture of things, would you be open to sharing your current, I guess, overview of your current tech stacks, like what CRM do you use,
Yep.
your website, things like that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I'll be happy to share it all. Through the transition of my years, I was at Keller Williams for a number of years, and one of Gary Keller's lines is that your business is your database. So that's always kind of stuck with me. So I've always kind of put a lot of thought and time and effort into my database throughout the years. And you get to a point sometimes where things work and then they don't work. And I got to a point where what I was using wasn't working anymore. So I've done Tom Ferry coaching as well over the years, and my coach gave me the names of a couple of different places to try out, and so that's kind of how I ended up with Follow Up Boss.
Okay. And besides Follow Up Boss, do you use any other tech tools or applications?
Yep. So I have my website is with Union Street Media, which is kind of a fully optimized website, which has been great for getting leads as well, and they've been terrific. This last little downturn that we've had with a little hiccup with the interest rates, I feel like there's been a little shakeup with that, but I do think that long term, I think online lead generation is certainly going to be a thing that's here to stay. Yes,
Yeah. So do they manage your ads for you?
they do manage my ads for me. Yes,
Okay. When did you get Union Street Media?
probably 4 years ago now.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
should must be fairly happy with them.
I'm
That's
very happy with them. I actually referred a friend of mine to them the other day. Yep. Yep.
Oh,
I
that's
feel
good.
like they're real, I feel like they're very I feel like they're real techies.
Yeah. And how long have you been using Follow Boss?
Probably about the same amount of time, probably about 4 years. I don't know, though, that I could say that I was using it effectively until I met with Kee Technologies, because I feel like I was just using the couple of things that I knew how to do. So it was until I saw your video a number of years ago and did the revamp that I really kind of felt like I got it tuned up and charged up and kind of was using it to more of its potential.
Oh, okay. What video was it? Like a webinar you watched or?
I think it was one of your, you have like a whole series, and I think you did one on the follow-up boss revamp.
Oh,
Is
I
that
see. Yeah.
So that was the one that I saw about the different action plans that you had. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay. So what led you to decide to use Follow Boss? Did you use a different CRM before then?
Yeah, I was using a different CRM before then. Before then, in the brokerage, that I was with, um, was sponsoring it, but I just felt like I just felt like it wasn't. I felt like it was they were not keeping up with things, and
Mm,
it was kind of outdated and just wasn't kind of meeting my needs. Yeah, it was kind of
okay.
hard to use.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that you don't think you were really using it to its fullest potential. Were there specific problems you were facing that made you realize, oh, I actually need to be doing more with my
No,
CRM?
well, I think for me, coming from the other database that I was doing, I had a number of certain things that I was trying to do that I needed to do with it, and I didn't understand the full potential until I really kind of saw some of your videos. I didn't really kind of understand the action plans. I was
Mm,
very much what you kind of talk a lot about. I was just doing everything with tasks.
mm.
Didn't really kind of understand all the smart lists. And now that I've kind of like got used to the smart lists, I think they're all brilliant, and it's kind of a game changer. Yeah, it makes everything so much automated. And when I sit down to figure out who I need to talk to, I never have to think. I just have to kind of log in and pull up the lists, and they're all there, and voila.
Yeah, yeah, keeping it as easy and simple as possible is
Yep, yep. It's
definitely
all very
everyone's
simple.
goal
Yep.
with any business. Yeah. So after you watched that video, what led you to seek outside help instead of either hiring someone in-house to figure it out yourself or doing it yourself?
Well, I just feel like when I saw your video and I talked with you and your people, I just felt like it all made sense, and it all seemed like the pricing and everything was great. So it just seemed like it was kind of like a quick, easy fix for me instead of kind of going out and trying to recreate the wheel. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So you mentioned smart lists. What other sorts of things did you have set up in Follow Up Boss?
Well, I didn't have smart lists set up before, but I do now. So kind of the pawns, I love the batch emails. I love sending out emails. I love using the smart lists. Yeah,
Yeah, and remind me how long have you been using the setup that we gave you?
probably 2 years.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
realize it was that long.
yeah. I think maybe a year and a half, 2 years, but yeah, it's been about that long. Yeah.
Yeah, time flies. Um, and so since starting 2 years ago to today, what sorts of results have you seen with with that setup?
Well, I feel like the results that I've seen are that people are kind of like, oh wow, like oh, I always hear from you. Like I just I feel like I never lose leads. I feel like never nobody ever falls through the cracks, and people are like, oh, thanks for calling, and they're kind of like, sometimes I think they're surprised when I kind of do call. So yeah, makes me
That's
feel
good.
good about it all. Gives me a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, it helps you. It's never going to be a perfect system, right? Where you're not
Right,
going to lose a single lead, but it helps you have more peace of mind that
right,
people either that you're nurturing or maybe even past clients that you keep in touch with, they don't fall through the cracks and go to another agent, the dreaded
right.
going to another agent as often, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't think really kind of a 4 year system, either aside from, the smart list, but even just kind of the stages and categorizing people and how we categorize people and the tags. I just feel like I have the whole thing all tuned up so that if I get a listing and I want to go pull up a list of people in a certain neighborhood, it's all kind of right at my fingertips and all kind of done for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So then after we worked and initially set up your follow-up boss 1.5, 2 years ago, what was our support like initially and what has it been since then?
So my guy who does kind of the marketing and the admin with that, we've been in touch with your team on a regular basis, answering questions, and kind of helping us along. But it was all really kind of very, I felt like it was all very intuitive, and very easy to use. You have great videos to describe things. So yeah, it was all been pretty seamless.
That's good to hear. Well, final question before I let you go. If someone were on the fence about hiring either us or outside help, what would you tell them?
Well, I think people have to understand, particularly as a real estate salesperson, you have to understand your strengths and weaknesses. And I think that for me, tech is not one of my strengths. So I feel like to pay somebody who that is their strength, I would tell people don't be penny wise and pound foolish. And I think that it is well worth the investment. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and just first perspective, since we do this full time with 10 people, we've been working on this for 3.5, 4 years now, full
Oh,
time.
wow.
So if you're going to start from the ground up, like you mentioned, reinventing the wheel, that's a lot of hours spent,
Right.
yeah, doing it yourself.
Yeah.
But
I even appreciate you guys kind of you come out with different updates along the way and everything. So it's been good. And I know that you guys are really kind of on it. And I know that you guys have your fingers on the pulse of follow-up boss, which is great.
yeah, well, I appreciate your time, Chris, and I'm sure people will definitely find this video helpful.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Elena.